hospital. Picture this. It's this old, decaying building sitting totally isolated on a hill, right outside the city. It's the dead of night, and it's not just raining, it is absolutely pouring, like the sky is trying to wash the whole hospital away. You've got these dark walls, broken windows, that unmistakable smell of dampness mixed with strong medicine, and the echoing beeps of hospital machinery down the halls. It sets a terrifyingly atmospheric scene. And it's in this exact setting that the mystery of ward number 9 really unfolds. And that brings us to the core of what we're looking at today. There was this saying, if a patient is admitted to the ICU between 2 and 3 a.m., they don't survive until morning. Now, this wasn't just some spooky rumor whispered among patients. This was a dreaded, actual reality for the staff. A lot of the day doctors would just laugh it off as a statistical coincidence, jokingly calling it the devil's hour. But for the night shift crew working up on the 3rd floor in ward number 9, yeah, it was absolutely no joke. They said the air itself would literally feel different during that one specific hour. Any chatter or laughter would just suddenly die out, completely replaced by this suffocating, heavy silence. Which leads us to Section 1, Terrifying Night and Blue Death. Okay, so the clock on the cracked ICU wall reads exactly 2:17 a.m. Dr. Arav Mehta, a 27-year-old resident who was on his very first week of night duty, is completely exhausted. He's fighting off sleep alongside a 25-year-old intern named Neha. Suddenly, they hear this horrifying sound, the old elevator grinding metal against metal echoing down the hall. And before they can even process it, boom, the power cuts out completely. They are plunged into total darkness, lit only by the creepy red glow of the emergency lights. Out of the darkness, the dragging sound of footsteps starts approaching. Then, the reality of a massive medical emergency bursts right through the doors. A grandmother rushes in screaming, carrying a 4-day-old infant. And guys, the baby is completely stiff, breathless, and its skin is turning this horrifying blue-black color, almost as if all the oxygen has just been sucked out of the room. The grandmother is absolutely frantic, completely convinced that because it's a dark moon night, an evil spirit has possessed the child. The baby looks almost like it's made of solid wood, eyes rolled back. The whole situation is just pure chaos, totally blurring the lines between what feels like a paranormal event and a desperate medical crisis. Dr. Arav doesn't freeze, though. He immediately jumps into action. He grabs the baby, puts him on the stretcher, and as he does, he actually feels this unnatural, freezing cold breath on his own shoulder. He shakes it off, hooks the child up to the monitor, and the screen flashes a terrifying number, 63%. Now, just to put that into perspective, you want that number in the high 90s. 63% means oxygen saturation is absolutely plummeting. It is a race against a very fast-ticking clock. Arav barks an order to crank up the oxygen flow. They secure the mask, but the number on the screen, it just refuses to budge. 63, 63, 63. It's almost as if the machine itself has just given up all hope. Come on, breathe, breathe. Arav starts doing light chest compressions, but the infant's body remains so unnaturally rigid. Intern Neha is standing there, and her hands are just shaking violently in horror. And right at the edge of this incredibly frantic scene, just standing by the doorway, is the night nurse, Sister Kamala. Now get this. She had actually warned them a case was coming just moments before the power went out, and now she's just standing there behind the glass, totally unblinking, watching them coldly, almost like she's just waiting for the inevitable to happen. Let's dive into Section 2, Not a Demon, a Medical Mystery. Driven by sheer desperation, Dr. Arav realizes he needs a blood sample right now to figure out what is destroying this child's body from the inside. But as Arav pulls back the syringe, the fluid that fills the tube, well, it isn't red. It is this deep, unnatural black. It's incredibly thick, sticky, looking exactly like dark chocolate syrup. Neha is so shocked she actually drops the test tube on the floor. But the crazy thing? The black blood doesn't even spread. It just clumps together like thick motor oil, and it emits this strange, metallic smell of decay. At this point, Neha is terrified. She's starting to think the grandmother was right, that this isn't human blood at all, and a demon really is at work here. But this is where Dr. Arav's medical training kicks into high gear. A flashback suddenly hits him from medical school. Chocolate-colored blood? That means one very specific thing, methemoglobinemia. It's an incredibly rare blood condition. He immediately questions the grandmother and finds out she had given the newborn water from a local well, mixed with ashes from a baba, to supposedly ward off the evil eye. Well, it turns out that well water was heavily contaminated with nitrates, and those nitrates chemically altered the baby's hemoglobin. So the blood technically had oxygen, but it had completely lost the ability to carry that oxygen to the body's tissues. So actually, scratch the ghost theory. It wasn't a demon at all. It was severe acute poisoning. Which brings us to a massive dilemma in Section 3. Rules or humanity? Okay, so knowing the diagnosis is great, but it's only half the battle. Now they face this massive roadblock. The only cure for this condition is a medicine called methylene blue. But there's a huge problem. It's locked away in the hospital storeroom. And the ward boy absolutely insists that hospital rules dictate the room cannot be opened until morning. But time is literally running out. The baby won't survive another 10 minutes, let alone until sunrise. So Dr. Araf, he doesn't even hesitate. He grabs a heavy fire extinguisher right off the wall and completely smashes the padlock to pieces. He tears through the dusty shelves and finally finds a small vial of methylene blue. But of course, there's another catch. It expired 15 days ago. And right then, Sister Kamala's eerie voice echoes down the hall. Death cannot be stopped, doctor. But Araf takes the enormous risk anyway. He hands the expired vial to Neha and tells her to inject it. Neha slowly pushes the medicine into the baby's veins. As we enter the first minute, the frantic beeping of the monitor starts to slow down. By the second minute, the baby's chest is barely even moving. And by the third minute, the heart rate plummets to 35. The entire room just falls dead silent. The only sound left is the pouring rain outside and the weak, failing beep of the machine. It feels like they are entirely too late. But then, suddenly, the numbers on the screen begin to twitch. 40, then 50, then 60. The expired methylene blue is actually kicking in. The heart rate shoots right up to 75. Neha is just staring at the screen in total disbelief as the numbers keep climbing rapidly. 85, and then it hits a beautiful 95%. The beeping of the monitor becomes strong, steady, and rhythmic. And then, the absolute best sound in the world fills the horrifying ward number 9, the loud, healthy cry of the newborn baby. That terrifying blue-black color starts to fade, and a warm pink color rushes back into the infant's cheeks. Neha just bursts into tears of pure relief. Dr. Arav exhales, leaning back, having literally just snatched a life back from the jaws of death. The storm finally passes, taking us into Section 4, Sister Kamala's terrifying secret. Morning finally breaks. Sunlight is just starting to peek through the hospital windows. Neha, totally exhausted, turns to the ward boy and asks where Sister Kamala, the night nurse, went. The ward boy just looks at her, completely confused, and then terrified. He stammers out, "Madam, there is no night nurse here. Sister Kamala died in this very NICU 2 years ago." Neha's blood absolutely runs cold. She had been speaking to her, looking right at her, and listening to her eerie warnings all night long. So, what is going on here? To understand this chilling twist, we have to look back at what happened exactly 2 years prior. 2 years ago, on a similarly stormy night, another baby was brought in with the exact same condition. Sister Kamala was the actual nurse on duty that night, but the doctor in charge was Dr. Raghav, a notoriously arrogant guy totally obsessed with following hospital protocols. When Kamala begged him to open the storeroom to get the medicine, Dr. Raghav refused. He followed the rules, refused to give the medicine, and he lost the baby. Contrast that with Dr. Arav tonight. He broke the lock. He risked his entire career, but he saved a life. Let's walk through the fatal timeline of that night 2 years ago, because this is how the Devil's Hour was truly born. At 3:05 a.m., Kamala begged Dr. Raghav for the medicine. He coldly told her to wait until morning. At 3:11 a.m., the baby's heartbeat began to fail. By 3:12 a.m., the monitor flatlined. The sheer trauma and overwhelming guilt of watching that baby die completely unnecessarily caused Sister Kamala to suffer a massive, fatal heart attack right there in the ICU. 2 bodies on the floor. But incredibly, it didn't end there. At 3:27 a.m., Dr. Raghav, driving home in the blinding rain, lost control of his car and died in a horrific crash. 3 deaths, 1 single hour. And that is exactly why the hauntings began. And this brings us to the really profound resolution of this whole explainer. The hauntings, the strange drops in temperature between 2 and 3 a.m., the ghostly presence of Sister Kamala, it all completely stopped after this night. The curse of ward number 9 finally ended the exact moment a doctor prioritized a fragile life over a locked door. Dr. Arv's willingness to just break the rules, to do what was medically and morally right, broke a 2-year cycle of tragedy, a cycle of guilt that had essentially trapped Kamala's spirit in that very hospital ward. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought to chew on. The story of Ward Number 9, it isn't just about a ghost or learning about a rare medical condition like methemoglobinemia. It's really posing a fundamental question about how we operate in society. When the pressure is on and the stakes are quite literally life and death, what guides your actions? Is it the rigid policies written on a piece of paper, or is it the beating heart right in front of you? Will you choose humanity over rules? Take a moment to really think about that. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this deep dive has given you a fascinating new perspective to carry with you.